This is the Apparelist podcast, designed to bring you real-life conversation about high-level topics relevant to the decorated apparel community. So hey, apparel people. It's time to turn up the volume for another episode of the Apparelist podcast. We're all about taking high-level business topics and making them approachable, conversational, all while making sure you get the helpful information you need. Today's guest is Travis Ross of the Print on Demand cast. Guys, if you have not had a chance to listen to this podcast, it is unbelievable. I love listening to them talk about the world of print on demand and just how it applies to everything we do in the apparel world. So make sure I will include a link in the show notes. Make sure you click on that link, give these guys a follow, check them out. But today, our topic specifically focuses on AI, specifically when it comes to copyright and licensing. So put on your earbuds, headphones, or make sure whatever listening device you're on is fully connected because you do not want to miss this episode. Travis, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, so could you give me a little background? I mean, how did Print on Demand cast start?
Both my co-host Josiah and I were operating fulfillment companies. We started in e-commerce, both of us on Amazon, and over the course of many years, did everything from retail arbitrage to importing, products and private labeling them ourselves. During that time, I started a conference with another friend of mine in e-commerce, and we ran it for 3 years. It was called the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference. And the second year, I remember hearing somebody in one of the after hours events in a bar or something talking about sublimating coffee mugs in their basement. And at the time, I was on Merch by Amazon and had, all of these designs that I was putting on their T-shirt, royalty-based print-on-demand service. I said, they're not doing coffee mugs. I could repurpose these designs and put them on coffee mugs. I know how to create listings on Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. So I started doing that, and lo and behold, they were selling. They just started selling, and I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." So fast forward to today. I've got I've got a couple of DTG machines, couple lasers, couple embroidery machines. Of course, we still do sublimation, lots and lots of coffee mugs. We also fulfill for other people, and so during that time, Josiah was working for his father-in-law, who I kind of taught e-commerce to and taught him. And so he started doing print on demand around the same time. We said, we need a show that, was what we were looking for when we were first starting out. When we first started out, we didn't know anything about the printing industry at all. I remember going to an NBM show in Portland, Oregon, just because it was the next one kind of on the docket. And I was like, I got to get somewhere around people that do this all the time and see what these opportunities are. So Josiah and I both went out there, and I just remember it was like drinking from a fire hose. There was so much opportunity and so many, cool machines and all of these things you could do. But one thing I remember was that when we would talk to people in the printing industry, we'd say, so what do you guys do? Do you do an e-commerce? Do you, have a website? And they're like, why would I need that? It's all word of mouth for us, and every single person we talked to was the same story. So we were like, oh man, there's something here, and this is probably 2018 or so. We continued to try to build our fulfillment businesses. And then at one point we were like, all right, let's stop talking about it. Let's start the frickin' podcast. And the Print on Demand cast was born, and now we're almost 150 episodes in.
Nice. We
have a blast. We're just kind of two goofballs that talk a lot and know just enough to actually put out some content. But yeah, we have a great time with it. Every week, Wednesdays. Check it out.
Yeah. Well, I know. I mean, I'm personally a subscriber, and that's really funny because it's likely we crossed paths at that Portland show. I was there, and it was a lot of fun. So small world, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things that catches my mind about this cast is, how much fun it is. It's really easy to listen to when it comes out on Wednesdays. I put it on, I listen to it. I find myself laughing pretty often. One of the things, though, that, drew us together was the idea of putting content out there. So you have written a few articles for a couple different industry publications, including ours, Apparelist. You recently wrote an article, How AI is Influencing Print on Demand. So that's really cool stuff. Guys, I'm also going to put a link to that in the show notes so that you can get a chance to read that article. But in the article, Travis, you mentioned this idea of copyright. Mm-hmm. So everybody is super excited about AI right now, right? What can it do for us? Look at all these things it's creating. But the copyright issue is a big one. And people are pretty heated about it. And I think rightfully so, because, some artists are feeling like a little bit infringed upon their work and things like that. And so in your article, you kind of broke out some of those things that people need to consider: the intellectual property rights, artists' livelihoods, things like this, so on and so forth. So do you have any personal experience about that? Or is that something you've just observed in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, AI is obviously not new, but it's really burst onto the scene this year. And in, especially with ChatGPT, of course. And then all of these other products started coming out of the woodwork, a lot of text-based like ChatGPT, but then also like Midjourney and these artistic AI, I don't know what you call them, programs that can take your idea and give you a visual image of it. And so, I mean, if you go on to like YouTube right now and do AI print on demand, you're going to get 1,000 videos because it's so new and it's so fresh and it's so like in the forefront of everybody's minds right now, because it really can assist you in creating products, creating designs to put on products, creating, your listing descriptions, your tags on certain channels or your keywords or whatever, your titles. It can give you a lot of automation, where a lot of that stuff used to be manual. And so, of course, we're going to, as business owners and entrepreneurs, we're going to gravitate towards something that's going to be able to be automated that used to be manual because it's going to cost less. But as far as the copyrights, who owns those? I mean, that's a big question. And I don't think that there's an answer yet. I don't think we're going to get an answer. I do think, though, at the end of the day, it's just too big to shut it down because of this. That's just my opinion, of course.
Yeah, no, interesting.
It's just gained too much traction, and it's so integrated into so much of what we do every day, not even in just the print on demand world or the printing world, just in general. AI is so there, just the speed at which they're innovating and creating new ways and new products and making the products they already have even better. By the time the courts get around to deciding this thing, I think it'd be like trying to stop a freight train.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally agree. And I mean, you already see the courts kind of getting involved in the art world with trademark stuff anyway. I mean, I think I just read a thing about an Andy Warhol thing versus this artist who had taken a picture of Prince. It got reproduced and used on the cover of the magazine. She won the case because it was so similar and she didn't get any rights, right? So we already see this starting to become a thing now. I think AI has sort of maybe shined more light on it.
Yeah, we're not talking necessarily about trademarks. We're talking more about AI, but the USPTO is, and we just recently did a podcast on this. We had Ken Reel, who knows all this stuff, and he literally just testified before a committee. This committee is deciding whether or not to push through some fee increases for the USPTO. So they want to increase the cost of getting a trademark. A couple of years ago, they pushed through, used to be when a trademark was published for opposition, you could write a letter of protest, an LOP. Okay. It used to be free. And now they changed it to where it's $50.
Wow.
And they're wanting to change it to where it's $250, which, okay, well, fine. It's a government thing. The problem with that is that there are so many people out there that are abusing the USPTO that they're trying to trademark, live, laugh, love. And, and they're like, oh, I was the first one to use that in commerce. Yeah, give me a break. So there's these trademark bullies that are, they're just filing for all these trademarks. And to make that LOP $250 makes it very hard for smaller businesses who maybe have a Merch by Amazon account or whatever, or on the Redbubble or wherever they're at. And they use that phrase because, it's widely used. There's no reason that person should hold that trademark because they were not the first person to use it. And to make it $250, all of a sudden, live, laugh, love goes through as a trademark, in this pretend world. And then they go and they issue takedowns on Redbubble and Merch by Amazon and all of these places.
Yeah.
And they just go crazy and get all of these other products taken down. So theirs can rise to the top and sell a bunch.
Yeah.
And then when it's time to renew, they don't care because they don't renew it. I mean, they already did what they needed to do by getting all those takedowns. So it's really interesting what's going on in this community. And then the AI piece really just gives it more dimensions. You know, all of a sudden now we have to worry about somebody taking a piece of art and then, I mean, the real issue is like these models are trained by copyrighted art because they're just going on, you know, through the internet and finding pieces of art to learn about what, you know, they're going to eventually produce with that text prompt. And so that's really the question is if an AI was trained on copywritten art, then who gets the copyright for what it produces in the end? And there's obviously that holds weight. That's a good argument. The other side to it is like my wife, for instance, is an artist. She just started taking some classes and she's learning and she's painting and she's doing all these things. And she's frustrated by AI because of this. But at the same time, what are the works of art that she's learning from? I mean, she's not duplicating them, but those pieces of art that are copywritten are going to influence the way she paints, the way she presents her art to the world.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's been going on since the dawn of time. So that's the other side of it. You know, it's like, that's a very difficult question. If you're going to punish AI from learning from or from copywritten pieces, then what are you doing for, you know, that class down the street or the university that's teaching and using that stuff? You know, maybe they're paying for copyright. I don't know, but you get the idea. Yeah.
No, I think you pose a question that maybe the artists haven't thought about before, because you're right. Like I think about, you know, I'm not an artist, but I'm a writer. So, right. I have issues with ChatGPT because again, is it plagiarized content? Is it content that, you know, somebody else has created? But like when I think about my creative process, I do draw inspiration from things. I take quotes.
Sure.
I put a quote in an article. I mean, I obviously say Travis Ross said such and such about AI, but I'm then taking what you said and assessing it and teasing out something that, you know, so I mean, it could be a really gray area.
That's kind of what ChatGPT is doing.
Yeah.
It's taking what people wrote and then it's putting its own, you know, robotic spin on it.
Yeah, robotic is right.
And trying to come up with something that's original. And, you know, I mean, thank God we have plagiarism checkers and all those things that we can test.
Absolutely.
And, but yeah, I mean, it's very similar to how we create content.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So in the article you wrote for us, you actually provided a couple really cool images and kind of like walked through that process and stuff. So I mean, in your experience, then let's argue it. What are the benefits
to AI?
I mean, we talked about the automation, but also some of the images I'm seeing coming out of this are
incredible.
Unreal.
Yeah. And I mean, use that stuff at your own peril. I mean, who knows? I mean, you know, the Supreme Court could come down and just say, nope, you can't do it. Mid-Journey, you're done. And anything that's been produced with Mid-Journey is done. You know, I mean, that's obviously a possibility. Again, I don't think it's a realistic one or a probable one, but it's possible. But like for us, what we're using it for, we're not using it for the image generation. And kind of for that reason, but more for the reason is we already have, I mean, we've been doing this for years. You know, I've had multiple designers designing multiple things for very many years. We have tens of thousands of pieces of art that were created by humans. And so we don't necessarily need more images. What we're using more for the text side. So there's this really cool, and I can't remember what it's called, the program, but it basically puts ChatGPT inside like a Google Sheet.
Okay.
And so you can take a list of, you know, 1,000 titles for, you know, let's say we're making coffee mugs and we have 1,000 new coffee mugs that we want to put up on Amazon or Walmart or wherever, you know, sell them. I can take those, you know, that list and put it in column A. In column B, I can write a formula that's going to access ChatGPT and say, give me keywords for this product. And obviously I'd fill it out and give it a better prompt. But, and then I can literally drag that down for all 1,000 titles and get keywords for
Wow.
all of those things, or I can do unique descriptions, or I can, all of those things that can be automated that used to have to be, one by one. Okay, what are the tags for this particular, this nurse mug? Okay, well, nurses, emergency room, all that stuff. But ChatGPT does it in 5 minutes.
Sure.
So,
Hey.
I mean, my goodness. Now the downside to it is that you can't check the USPTO database to look for trademarked words yet through ChatGPT. Right. So you still have, a list of, 1,000 tags they have, 10 to 15 tags per, and you still have to figure out a way to check those. There are some websites out there that allow you to do some of that in bulk. That part hasn't been solved by ChatGPT yet, unfortunately.
Well, I think like anything, any new technology, there's always going to be like that learning, like, how do we figure out how to make this better? Where is it accelerating? Right. Where are the roadblocks? I mean, I think about that with direct to film, right? Right now it's the coolest, it's the bee's knees, but it's terrible.
Right.
Right.
It's toxic.
Right. Right. I mean, you see that powder just floating around in the air. But that's kind of, I guess, how I think about AI sometimes is like, okay, there are some really cool opportunities here. Is it perfect yet? No, it's not. But that, is it going to get there? Maybe. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, but certainly could be a good tool in your box to have.
Yeah. I mean, and you just finding unique ways to use it. There's an email list that I'm subscribed to called Ben's Bites.
Okay.
And it's, he does a daily email about all kinds of things AI. Some of it's like, I'm swimming in an ocean. I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't know the back end of AI. I just know what it can do for me in the specific instances where it, makes sense for me to use it. But he has all these links to different new programs, new websites, new uses for AI. It's really interesting. But I mean, there's always something new, and it's just amazing how fast AI has become so normalized in our society. Before, I mean, we were using it was on our phone, the predictive text, all that stuff, but we just didn't know it. Now it's got a name. Now we're actually calling it AI because it's just grown so much. And I do not think it's going to slow down, which again is why I think at the end of the day, they're going to have to figure out a way, the courts and everything, to kind of just make their peace with the fact that AI has to learn on something. Right. And it may be trademarked stuff, but again, that's how I learn. That's how you learn.
That's true.
I don't know. I'm beating that dead horse.
All right. So I think it's pretty safe to say that, in your opinion, I mean, apparel decorators, printers, whether you're selling coffee mugs, whatever, should at least explore the opportunities it could have for their specific business.
Yeah. I mean, I think don't miss the bus. You might as well learn about it. It's very similar, like when the first iPhone came out. It was like, man, this is really cool. This is changing the game. And I think that's what AI is doing right now. It's changing the game. Now, what it looks like in 5 years, I think is anybody's guess. But it's still going to be here. And, and so getting in right now is probably smart, at least starting to learn about it, because it can do things for your business today. And can you imagine what it'll be able to do for your business in 5 years or 10 years? If you wait to learn about it until then, it won't be able to help you as much, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
no, that's a really good point. I mean, might as well embrace it, right? And I mean, with all the challenges that people are facing with labor and rising costs and things like that, I think you're wise to explore things that can automate your processes, cut down on time. Very cool. Well, Travis, thank you so much for opining on the topic. Like you, I'm interested to see where this topic goes in the next 5 years. If any of you apparelist listeners out there have an opinion, let us know. My email is cgreen@napco.com. I'll be sharing that in the show notes. Travis, where can people find you? Any links or anything we should share?
Obviously, you can go to printondemandcast.com if you're interested in our podcast. You can email me info@printondemandcast.com. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. We do have a Facebook group. It's not huge, but it's fun. We get people in there that are just starting out on their print on demand journey. Obviously, I know this audience is much wider than just print on demand, but occasionally, you know, we've believe it or not, we've had a screen printer on the print on demand cast. So,
what?
you know, we are not, you know, exclusive. So
I think it just blew everybody's mind.
I did.
Wow. I love that. Hey guys, we can all work together. We can all play nicely in the
That's
sandbox,
right.
right? It all just works to better our businesses. Well, awesome. Again, Travis, thank you so much. Looking forward to see what this industry brings.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.